So not to sound melodramatic or anything, but there is literally not a point in my life where I remember not knowing about this show. So basically I'm trying to say is I've known about this show my entire life, and it's what kickstarted my obsession with the wuxia genre. You know, as like an itty bitty toddler, I remember, well, okay, I remember it's kind of a stretch because it's all just like a blur of like swords and like rainbow animals and fighting and all that good stuff about this martial arts genre. But my parents remember telling no, I remember my parents telling me about how they would like watch me like watching this show, and they would like, stop watching that. I will get to that in a second. It's kind of controversial among parents, that is. Us kids who are like kind of like grown up now, we love it, okay? But anyways, yes, hello, welcome. If you click on this video, I'm assuming that you want to watch me, or listen to me rather, or maybe watch, talk about this Chinese cartoon, literally, about fighting animals. So yeah. First of all, the name in Chinese is hongmao lantu, or more specifically, this rendition of it. There are several season slash franchise installments, but this one in particular, which is definitely the most popular, and in my opinion, and in the opinion of many other people, the best version of this show, like the best season or the best installment, etc. So this is called hongmao lantu七侠传. So you can translate it several different ways. I guess like the literal pinyin of it, which is the one I use in the title, is like hongmao and lantu. So this guy is the main character, hongmao, and then this is his love interest slash the second main character, lantu. But our good old friend Wikipedia did tell me that the localization is howie and landau. So do with that what you will. But yeah, here it is, hongmao and lantu. So yeah, this is from 2006, and yeah, there are a lot of characters, and there's, oh yeah, so technically, okay, the literal translation is technically, as you can see here, 7 chivalrous biography. A lot of people, well, I guess not people, groups of people, I've seen online a lot that they translate to like 7 swordsmen or 7 swords, which totally makes sense because they are swordsmen, swords people fighting. I feel like swordsman is gender neutral because like in Naruto, they call it like 7 swordsmen's mist. Anyways, yes, not the point. But yeah, there is, okay, in the original Chinese, there is actually not the word sword, which I don't think I realized until like filming this video, but it's true. And I'm like, I don't know how like that didn't register in my brain, because I just like, okay, technically it's like, the technical translation is like 7 heroes, you know, if you know like the word wuxia literally translates to like martial arts heroes, but like it's not like hero as in like how we know the word hero in English, so it like sounds kind of like pretentious in English, but hero is literally just like a person, kind of like in the wuxia genre, like just like a person who like goes and like fights bad guys and they're like, they do good deeds, I guess. But the point is, I've seen it translated a bunch of ways. There's like 7 swords, again, like I mentioned, 7 swordsmen, stuff like that. The point is, yeah, translations are weird, and okay, there is a dub of this, but the dub is so bad. Like, it's the worst dub I have had the misfortune of hearing, and trust me, I've heard a lot of really bad dubs, so let me just play a part.
Landau. Huh? Young tiger, you devil, what did you do to Landau?
What are you worried about? This is all your fault. If you hadn't told her that stuff, I wouldn't have given her the spirit contagion.
Young tiger, I'll kill you.
Like, it's so bad. But yes, anyways. So yeah, spoilers I guess for the show, which is like 2 decades old, and I guess you can still watch it, like technically it's understandable in English, but like, I mean, okay, you know what? Maybe people will watch it after this, I don't know. If you're still here, thank you for not immediately clicking off, I guess. Okay, let's just move on and talk about the characters. Okay, first of all, oh yeah, actually, I should probably, maybe you should like look at the names first. I mean, I know their names, but I guess we could just quickly go over the character list real quick. So obviously there's the main, oh my goodness, this is the first time I've seen the translation of their names. I'm kind of shocked. Howie, yes, he's the main character. I guess he's the leader. I guess like, okay, it's never like it's never talked about in universe, like in the narrative, that he is the leader. Like they don't like appoint him as a leader, but I guess he is, and like obviously he's like the main character, so like, you know, out of universe we know that this man's a leader. And then this is the second main character-ish, because her name is also in the title. I guess her name is Landau. Oh, I don't know how to feel about that. Obviously there is the other characters, Sally, which is, I guess it's a decent translation of her name, Shali, and there's T's, and Big Ben and Jumper and Dada. They just did not try with this one, and the others, I guess. Actually, this was a bad idea. Let's go back to the characters. Okay, so again, I will be touching on spoilers territory, and like I mentioned, okay, I should probably explain why this show is like kind of controversial with the parents and also surprisingly dark. As I what's the word? As I said in the title, I will not blue ball you, don't worry. So yes, this show, okay, in my opinion, I would call it a masterpiece. Like, I'm not even kidding, okay? I watched it recently with my brother, who did not, in fact, grow up with all the same kind of media I did. So I was like, hey, you should watch this, you know, don't become a banana. And then he was like, sure. And then we watched it, and he was like, oh my goodness, this is so good. I was like, I know, right? But yeah, it actually does hold up. Like, it's not just the nostalgia talking. The animation obviously is dated, and obviously the voice acting is very goofy, even in the original, okay? In the original, the voice acting for some of these guys are like, it's a cartoon, okay? It's meant for children. It's super high pitched. So it's definitely like, you wouldn't watch it as a show made for, you know, teenagers or older teenagers or like adults, obviously, but it does hold up really well. So the main gist of it is basically this guy, he's just having his happy life, right? Like, oh, everything is just nice. And then the bad guy comes and the bad guy attacks. And here's the thing, he has a pet. It's basically like the living MacGuffin, where he has a pet and the bad guy wants to kill the pet. And also take over the jungle, forest, you know, the world, etc. The martial arts world, as they call it. And then his dad dies fighting the bad guy and buying time for him to run away. And basically, he has to he has to gather the 7 swordsmen, and they can, like, there's this thing where, like, they combine the powers of their 7 swords, and, like, and they become basically they can, like, do the classic wuxia, like, the big, you know, powerful move, and then they can beat up the bad guy and stuff. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. So the entire plot just goes through him meeting all these new friends, and, you know, uniting the 7 swords, right? Like, Avengers Assemble type. So that is the main gist of it, and the reason why it's actually, I guess it's probably easier to explain with every single character, but honestly, okay, the thing is, each one of these 7 are, like, quite fleshed out, and the writing is relatively consistent, and the plot makes sense, and there is consistency, like, animals, I guess, their personalities do make sense, and it does touch on some topics. It touches on, like, alcoholism, and it touches on, like, waterboarding and torture, and one character almost takes his own life, and it's like, there's stuff happening, and yeah, and there's gore, like, not like bad gore, but there's blood. Not by bad gore, I mean like it shows intestines and stuff, okay? Like, as a person who is very squeamish, if somebody's intestines and brains were showing, I would not watch that, okay? Like, the most I can handle is, like, anime gore. And not even, like, really bad anime gore. Like, I love JoJo, but, like, sometimes when I read the manga, I'm like, oh, Rocky, why did you draw this? Oh. But yes, I digress. So let's talk about the individual characters who are, okay, again, they're, like, relatively well-developed, and it's pretty impressive for a cartoon. Oh no, not this again. Okay, the main character. So his name in Chinese is Hongmao, which, again, like I mentioned, for the longest time, as I was an illiterate toddler who only listened to the thing, I thought his name was Red Cat, but actually this entire time, red sounds exact same as rainbow, so his name's actually Rainbow Cat. So, yeah, I guess, or Howie, if you want to call them that. His sword, this sword, again, I don't know why I didn't make the connection until today, but his sword, I also thought it was like the red sword, but again, it's the rainbow sword. In Chinese, it's 长虹剑, which literally means long rainbow sword. And yeah, I guess he probably suffers the least. Like, he gets hurt the most, which, okay, you know what? Yeah, he suffers too. But okay, he suffers the least overall, like his childhood and stuff. He has a pretty happy childhood, right? Like, he plays with his pet, and like his dad is like nice to him and stuff. I guess he still sees his dad die in front of him. Okay, they do like that one fiction thing where like the one character is like, oh yeah, I'll hold him back, you hurry up and run, but like the person doesn't run, so he like sees everything happening. Like, what's the point of the person like holding them back and like dying? But anyways, yes, I think, okay, as far as protagonists go, the two protagonists, I would say, in my opinion, are the least interesting characters, which I don't know why that happens so much. Like, does anybody, I mean, okay, I feel like, okay, in Mob Psycho and One Punch Man, the main characters are like, can be considered one of, if not the most interesting character, but I feel like for the most part, people don't really watch animes for the main character, or is that just me? Like, anyways, I digress again, but yeah, basically he's a pretty good main character, very proactive, very like chivalrous, just guy. But here's the thing, like, unlike a lot of, you know, you're happy-go-lucky, you're kind of like, you're kind of dumb like shonen MCs, he is kind of sneaky, okay? He's pretty sneaky. He comes up with like goofy plans, and he lies to the bad guys, and he, you know, cunningly finds a way out of the mess, which I guess, again, is more common with genres outside of shonen, and maybe this is a sign where I should stop reading so much shonen manga. But yeah, he basically, the ending is like he accomplishes his goal, you know, he like kills a bad guy, and yeah, it's great. He's a decent MC. Let's move on. Okay, the love interest, of course. Okay, this is a show made for toddlers, okay? There is nothing like weird going on between these two, but you can clearly tell, like, looking back at it, you know, as a more mature person who is not literally 2 years old, you can tell like they're definitely, you know, there's like their scene where it's like, he's like, oh, you know, if she's dead, then there's no point in living on this earth anymore, or something like that. It's great. But yeah, I think, okay, as a girl who grew up watching a lot of shonen, all I can say is like, I do like my action girls. Like, obviously it's more common nowadays, but back then, you know, we didn't really have a lot of girls who could fight. So we have only 2 out of the 7 main characters are girls who like do fight and stuff, but it's great, okay? And I guess this is also one of my complaints about it, is like, like, not to sound, you know, like, I'm sure we're all like tired of hearing like, but you know, I do think that it does matter, and I do think it's pretty cool to see girls who can fight, and it's great. But my point is, with her, it's really cool because her first appearance is like, she is in her like princess. Should have gotten a picture for this. She has this like princess gown looking thing, but obviously it's like very impractical. So like she changes out of it, and this is her like fighting her fighter girl outfit. But yeah, I do like the juxtaposition of like, she is very much. I wouldn't call her like a shoujo protagonist per se, but she's kind of like the princess. Rather like the gongju, which, okay, that literally, it sounds the same as princess, but it means palace master. So she runs this like whole palace thingy, and it's great. But yeah, she's obviously like very feminine and very kind, very graceful. But she's also really good at fighting, and it's great. And her sword is called the Bing Po Jian, which literally translates into ice shattering blade or sword. But yeah, I like her. She's cool. Again, I don't have too much to say about her, and I guess she doesn't suffer all that much. Like, they both get beat up a lot, but they both get beat up a lot. But like, it's like fine. Now the next character. Oh yeah, by the way, her name is Lantu. Literally Blue Rabbit, or Landau if you prefer that. Okay, Sally or Sally. I think her name definitely translates the best. Mostly. Yeah, obviously, it just sounds like that. It translates well. So, her sword is called Ziying Jian, which literally translates to purple cloud sword. And she is among the characters who suffers the most. Like, it's obviously, this is like not the suffering Olympics. Okay, we're not like ranking them by how much they suffer, but she does suffer a lot. And she has a pretty bad time. So there's actually a character who pretends to be the rightful owner of her sword. And she gets like the other character gets like a fake of it and stuff like that, and it's a whole thing, but it's terrible. The other character like brainwashes her, tortures her, waterboards her, like, mutilates her. Basically, she's right-handed, but she can't use her right hand anymore because of the mutilation. And obviously, it's not shown. Like, her hand looks normal, but like it's pretty bad. Okay, and she doesn't want to live anymore for like multiple times. She doesn't want to live anymore, and then she like tells the other character, like, oh, I just like end my life. Like, there's like if I can't be if I can't wield a sword anymore, there's no point in me living. And the big climax of her arc is basically when she makes her way through this cave, and basically there is a secret, right? The cave is like, there's this guy or girl, it's not specified, but there's this great swordsman who sometime in history, you know, became a left-handed blade wielder. And like she goes through all these traps, and like she gets hurt a lot, she bleeds a lot, she gets like shot with arrows and stuff. Okay, like I mentioned, there is blood. And she comes out of it, and she finds the box, like the treasure, like the secret, like the, you know how in a lot of like wuxia shows, it's like, oh yeah, the secret, like this is it, this is, you know, this is the secret, the sacred manual. I will tell you all the secrets to everything, like the swordsmanship, etc. And then she opens it, and it's a paper slip saying 世上无难事，只怕有心人, which basically translates to there's nothing hard in the world if you can work hard on it. This is a really bad translation. I'm not an expert. But yeah, it's basically saying, like, after all she went through, she's despairing. She's like, after all I went through, all I get is this goofy ass paper that's being like, oh, just try hard. And then she's like, oh, all I have to do is work at it. And I think I'm doing kind of like not the best job at describing it, but like for me, okay, for toddler me, this was like the most inspirational thing I had ever seen, and I was like, oh my god, you're right, there's nothing I cannot accomplish if I just try. So yeah, I like her a lot. She's cool, even though she suffers so much. I did see, okay, on the TV tropes page, somebody did put the trope break the cutie under her, and that trope, as you can probably guess from the name, is like, there's a cutie who gets put through a lot of torture, like Madoka from Madoka Magica. I wouldn't necessarily put her there. Like, she definitely has a really cute design. Look at that. Like, she's just pink squirrel, okay? But I wouldn't call her a cutie. Like, within the narrative, she's like a very competent. Like, she's the boss of this like hotel-ish area. So, oh yeah, I forgot one thing. They're like vaguely young adults / teenagers. Like on the Baidu wiki, it says he's 17, I think it was, and she's 16. And they're all like vaguely within that area, except for one character. But like obviously in the olden times, you know, it was different. But like they have parents, and they're like vaguely young adult age. But yes, I digress. But yeah, with her, I wouldn't call her like a cutie like the way Madoka is, but maybe I'm just misunderstanding the trope. Moving on, okay, Dodo, or Tease, I guess his name literally just, okay, by the way, if you couldn't already tell, their names are like pet names, okay, and you wouldn't expect such like tragic backstories for like colorful animals with names literally like jump, but yeah, you'll see, I'll get to jump. But yes, with Dodo, okay, yeah, right, this is the exception I was mentioning. So a couple of years ago, I checked on the Baidu wiki, and it said his age was 12, so that would make him a child prodigy, which I'll explain shortly. But then I checked recently, and it was like he's 24, so I don't know how old he is. But here's the thing, like, within the fandom, people say he's the youngest, and like they call him like the little doctor, or like the little miracle doctor, like Xiao Shen Yi. So I don't know if like, so obviously I'm not the only one misunderstanding his age, so I don't know if he's 12 or 24, but like a lot of the fan work I've seen for it is like he is young and small and a prodigy and like a small doctor, not just because he's the shortest, but anyways, he's a character who exists. Yes, so he is considered the miracle doctor, like that's his kind of like title. Oh yeah, I should have talked about their titles. Oh, they call, you know how like the wuxia thing they do where like they give everybody like cool like nicknames and like monikers. That's great. So his alias, I guess, is like the miracle doctor, and it's great. And okay, I actually really like his personality. He comes across, first of all, he's like this kind of like almost snobby like doctor guy. Oh yeah, like listen, do what I say, like stop messing up your body. But like he's just a kid. Okay, this is why I feel like he is definitely coded to be a child. Like he acts more childish than the other characters. Despite being a doctor, well, I guess not despite being. It's kind of like both sides of his personality, right? Like he's definitely like very goofy, very silly, and he likes eating. He likes playing pranks on people. He's great. Okay, he's great. And I guess he also doesn't suffer that much. There's like a couple scenes where he suffers. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm saying this. But I really like him. He's really fun. And okay. Like I mentioned, this is obviously a kids show, right? I'm not trying to say this is like peak fiction or like this is like the most deep thing ever, but I feel like for a child's cartoon, it's like I consider, like me personally, the effect it had on my life, I would say it's a masterpiece because I really do look at it very fondly, and I do think, for a kids show, it's really nice. It's really, really nice. But yeah, there are a lot of scenes with him that are like really great and really fun, and yeah, I guess I don't really have too much to say about him that's like super deep, or I don't have too much to say about like any of this that's like super deep, I guess, but it's fun and I like it. Oh yeah, okay, Daben. So his name is, like I mentioned, Daben, and literally translate into Big Run, but then they translate to Big Ben, which I guess works. Like, I mean, it's okay. I think Big Ben is like fine, but as you can see, he's a big dude. Oh my goodness. Okay, he's like the himbo before like the himbo trope was like a thing. Okay, he's great. I wouldn't call him like the blueprint because I feel like people don't really know about this show in the West. As a Westerner myself, I don't really see people talking about it like, on the English side of the internet, like at all. I mean, I've seen like a couple of Reddit posts because I Googled it like 30 minutes ago, but yeah, like, and again, I wouldn't say this is like the most top grossing highest cartoon ever in China. But I do okay, if you like look on social media and stuff, there's like a decent amount of fan art and there are really impressive fan songs. Okay, like these fans literally wrote entire songs with lyrics that like are meaningful and like with art, with fan art of like them as humans. Okay, like the fan art is really pretty. I kind of wish like put some fan art in this presentation. That way, like, yeah, I don't think like I can describe it properly without showing pictures of like the most gorgeous fan art ever, and it's like for this silly little kids cartoon show with colorful animals, but it's great and I like it a lot. Okay, so yes, Big Ben, Daben. So his whole thing, he's great. He's like I love him so much. He's like super goofy, but like he's you know what a himbo is, right? He's like buff and big and silly and goofy and kind, and he's great. So he starts off. Oh, he's really funny. His title for himself is like 混血魔王, which is roughly translated to like, it's kind of like, I don't know how to translate it even. It's like, it's basically him being like, oh, I'm so cool. I'm such a badass, haha. But he's great. And then his whole arc is like, first of all, he has a bro. I'll show you his bro later. His bro is like on the bad side, but then they're bros. And they go through all these adventures together, and there's like a subplot involving Sally, but anyways, it's great. And he makes friends with this guy, and they're like I mentioned, they're bros. But then this really bad guy, I'll show you him later. He's literally a pig. I wonder what that says about his character. His bro from the evil side dies for him. He dies in his arms, literally. So he has to deal with that. So then he falls into this like. He basically falls into, he always, from the very first episode, or the first episode he shows up in, he's always been this character who has like been drinking a lot, right? He has this like little gourd with like his wine and stuff. But then afterwards he slips into alcoholism, and he like, because his family is, what do you call that? Like a winery? Well, winery in like the olden days, but they still call it a winery. But anyways, his family makes wine. So, oh, why is there beeping? Oh, anyways. His family basically does the... Oh, okay, it's gone now. Anyways, yes, his family runs whatever the olden days equivalent of winery is. And his parents died somehow. It's not really explained in the main show. Maybe they touch on it in the comics. I haven't read the comics personally, but yes. But his godmother is basically his parental figure now, and his godmother like goes through like so many things and trying to get him like, you know, stop being addicted to alcohol, but he can't get over it. And you know, as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, why does it take him so long to get over his like wine habit? Like, oh, you know, like why can't he just break his addiction? But here's the thing with these characters, right? Like also with Shali, like the things the you know, the suffering, the struggles, the difficulties they go through. Like it's not just, oh, one episode and it's over. They have multiple episodes, and like this is, I think there's like 108 episodes, but yeah, they like spend a lot of time like trying to work through, and he spent a lot of time like falling back into old habits. And you know, from a narrative point, maybe it's kind of, I would. Okay, that was an incredibly inconvenient fire alarm, but yes, let's continue. So yeah, I guess narratively speaking, like it's maybe quote unquote, you know, like you're repeating yourself, or like why are you having this again? Just let him go through his character arc, especially for a kids show, because the conventional wisdom is like kids have like tiny attention spans, so just move on. But I think it's pretty realistic. Like people in real life don't just like get over things like, you know, in 20 minutes. They go through it for a long period of time. So yeah. So in my opinion, I feel like what happens with him is like handled with a lot of respect within the narrative. And yeah, his godmother also does die due to the goofy pig. Okay, I hate the pig so much. When I get to him, I'll tell you how much I hate him. But yes. And yeah, his character arc is again overcoming all his shortcomings and just working on himself. And he's great. He's actually, I really do like him a lot. He's like so wholesome and it's great. Yeah. Okay, this character, his name is Tiao Tiao, which literally translates to jump jump. And you wouldn't think like a character named Jump Jump, this like monkey, a cartoon monkey named Jump Jump, would have like such a big fan base, but I feel like he probably has the biggest fan base out of everybody here, like including the main characters. He has a lot of fan up for him, and like whenever he shows up on videos, people like comment, like they like comment on how much they like him, and honestly, it's totally understandable. He actually is very likable, and of course, I have a lot of fan art for him, like the humanized version, and they make him like look super. Like the fan art of him is always like super good, but again, maybe I'll like post a follow up or something showing the fan art. It's like so hard to describe this without going into the images. But yeah, his character basically, I really like his backstory and his entire side of thing. It totally, again, like I mentioned, totally makes sense why he has like big fan base, because what happened with his parents were killed by the main bad guy, the main boss guy, and then he went undercover into the main boss bad guy's organization thingy, and he's been with that guy for 10 years. Okay, so there's like this whole scene where it's like, he's like, oh, I've waited for this for 10 years, and wow, and this like the super badass thing where he like, oh right, I forgot. His sword is called the Yu Hua Jian, literally translating to rain flower sword. His sword is the Ben Lei Jian, which literally translates to like the running thunder sword. And his sword is the Qing Guang Jian, which literally translates to the clear light sword, or like azure light sword. Yeah. Okay, yes. So, yeah, I think azure is a good word for it. Anyways, yes. So his entire backstory is, like I mentioned before, he goes undercover, and basically his entire time is like waiting for the right moment to betray the main bad guy so he can get revenge for his parents, right? And the thing is, like, he's been helping out the good guy since the very beginning. He gets introduced in the first episode, and he's like the most goofiest, incompetent, like basically the henchman, right? The classic henchman character. And he's like really silly in the beginning. He's like, hey! But then he, as you can see, he goes out of his way to like help the good guys at the expense of his own. You know, it's super inconvenient to himself and dangerous maybe, and yeah. And later on he reveals himself to be one of the good guys, and he joins their team. And yeah, he's just really great. He's really fun. He's a lot of fun. He has like very cheerful personality, but obviously he's been like hiding a lot of stuff, and yeah, it's great. Okay, last character, his name is Dada, and in the localization they just call him Dada. Like they didn't even try with this one. And his name literally translates to, I guess it's like kind of hard to translate. It's kind of like it's more like a conceptual abstract thing. It's not really a noun. It is used in names a lot. Like, if you know Tartaglia from Genshin, they translate his name using the same word. So like Tartaglia in Chinese is like da da li, yeah. So they literally take like the da da. It's like the same da da. It's like da 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 da. And yeah, so it's I guess, okay, for example, like da da, it's like arrive. It uses that kind of the da sound. But anyways, yes, it seems kind of hard to translate, I guess. And okay, the thing is though, like in English, right? He is literally a dad. Like he's the only one of them who has a wife and a son. And in the wiki it says he's 17, so I guess he's just like a teen dad, I guess, which is good for him. But his whole thing is he gets introduced like kind of later on. I believe he's the last one to join them. No. Yeah, he is the last one to join them. He gets introduced in the earlier-ish episode. Like, they meet him, and he's kind of like... I feel like he's a retcon, because at the very beginning, he's definitely not supposed to be one of the 7. Like the Blue Rabbit character, they meet, and she, like, has to, like, go through this whole cave thing. Oh, yeah, speaking of... That's one of the scenes that it got banned for. I believe it was, like, banned on some places. Maybe, like, broadcast or something like that. I remember reading about this a long time ago, but I don't remember details, so, like, don't quote me on this, but, yeah, it was, a lot of parents were definitely very mad about it, mine included. But yeah, there was a scene where basically it's, like, it needs, like, a virgin's blood. Obviously, I don't think they straight up, like, I don't know, like, a maiden's blood, at least. So, like, basically, the lantu, she cuts open her hands and, like, uses her blood to, like, revive, waken this flower thing, and yeah, a lot of parents were understandably mad about that because maybe you don't want your toddler seeing that. But I don't know, as a kid out, and even now, like as a narrative choice, I feel like it works. It's fine. And yeah, so anyways, yes, he was the guy guarding like the entire forest for her to enter in, and like throughout this entire thing, he never offered to like help them or anything. So I feel like it's a retcon. Like I think. But it's okay, don't think too hard about it. It's a kid's show, which I guess that kind of contradicts when I was like, oh yeah, it's so good. But okay, it's good for a kid's show, and it was impactful and good for me as a child, and it's definitely the target audience is for children, right? And I feel like, children should watch children's shows, and there are children's shows that are good. But yes, yeah, so basically one of the bad guys, I'll show you later, he takes his pregnant wife as a hostage and like gets him to do all sorts of like nefarious things, gets him to like, and basically like give him his sword and stuff, and it's like he has a whole arc, and yeah, I like him a lot too. He acts like really like grumpy and stuff, but like he's like really nice to his wife, of course, and he's kind of like a tsundere. It's great. I hope you can't hear the beeping, but yes, anyways, a very inconvenient beeping. Okay, bad guy sub, yeah, this guy. Okay, his name is Hei Xiaohu, literally translating to Black Small Tiger. He is a son of the main bad guy, and here's the thing. He is shipped a lot with Lantu. Okay, I feel like he's like the bad guy with a heart of gold, like the Zuko character, long before like that kind of trope became really popular. But yeah, you can basically say he's Zuko, except he's not redeemed and he like dies in the end. Spoiler, I guess. But yeah, he basically he goes. Actually, no. I feel like he's a lot nicer than Zuko in the beginning. He actually has a really interesting negative character arc. He starts off like relatively honorable and stuff. Like, okay, no, he starts off very honorable for a bad guy, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like trying to help, like not necessarily help them, I guess, but definitely like trying to like reason with them. And there's this whole scene where it's like, oh yeah, he's like, oh, what do you call good? What do you call evil? I'm just trying to save my dad, and I'm just trying to do my thing. I'm trying to save my dad, and then. So basically, he definitely, like, looking back now, it's pretty obvious that, like, he's in love with her. But obviously, as children, like, we don't, because it's not, like, spelled out for us, and we don't, you're, like, 2, okay? You don't care about romance. But yeah. So a lot of people do ship them, and there's, like, a lot of fan art for them. Again, as human, not humanized. I would say, like, 99.99999% of fan art for the colorful animals are as them as humans, and there's some really cool character designs out there. But yeah, so his whole thing is like he goes undercover, he pretends to be hongmao. Yes, he pretends to the main character howie, and he like basically does like whole transformation. And the thing is, like, I guess it's kind of a trope in wuxia too, like the good guys just use like the normal like human powers, like swords and like staves and stuff, And the bad guys do like their magic, and he and his dad, they have like this magic-y thing, like the wuxia magic-y thing. And oh yeah, he saves her, she saves him from an avalanche, and then he like, oh yeah, a life for a life, so he lets her pass through to get the flower blood thingy. And then later on, he's like I mentioned, you know, he's basically like the bad guy with a heart of gold, except again the negative character arc, and then he becomes slowly more and more corrupted. Where he's like, oh yeah, you know, what does he have? What does Rainbow Cat have that I don't have? And then he goes like ah, and then he becomes more and more like ruthless and like just mean and evil. And then again, it all culminates in him taking Dada's wife as a hostage and like doing all sorts of nefarious things, like threatening her, like beating him up. He gets beat up so much. Oh my goodness, like the amount of violence inflicted on this poor fictional panda. I mean, to be fair, all of them get beaten up a lot, but especially I feel like Dada and Sally get beaten up probably the most. But I guess hongmao does get beaten up a lot too, like by virtue of him being the main character and being in a lot of fights, and especially a lot of fights in which he loses. Which, hey, I respect that. Don't be afraid to show your protagonist losing. Great. But yeah, anyways, it culminates in oh yeah, and then wait, I'll explain that later. Yeah, and then he ends up dying. He ends up stepping on a landmine and dying, and he dies in his dad's arms. And I will get to that in a bit. Oh, this is the main character's dad. He's pretty cool, I guess. Like he seems his name is literally Baima, which is white cat. So I don't know, like white cat, rainbow cat. Like, is that a last name? Like, obviously that's not how last names work in Chinese because last names are first. And then in like the comics, it's like characters like, for example, Dodo's dad has like the last name Do, and it's a whole thing. Don't think too hard about it. He's cool, I guess. That's in the first episode. It doesn't really show about her, so. Her name is Ma Sanyang. Her basically, her name literally translates to horse 3 lady. But then they call her Senyang, so obviously like Ma is her last name, which is really clever because Ma is actually a really common Chinese last name. Again, just means horse because she's a horse. Haha, get it? But yeah, so on the tier list or like scale of fictional horses, she's like probably morally around the same as like season 1 BoJack Horseman, which just means she's completely evil. Okay, you know what? That's too far. I wouldn't say like BoJack Horseman is like completely evil before his character arc. She is definitely a lot more intentionally malicious than he is. My bad, I take it back. But yeah, she does do a lot of like really bad things, and she is terrible to poor Sally. But then later on, they find out she's a bad guy, and then I'm pretty sure she dies. She I think she does die. Yeah. Well, okay, she gets brought back in a later sequel, but that sequel is really bad, and like she has a son in that one. It's really weird. So we're just not gonna talk about the sequels. But yeah. And it turns out she's a spy working for the main boss guy. But then she's like, oh, I'm gonna betray him. And it's really funny because she and Tiao, they're like both spies, but like on the other side. Like she's a spy for the bad guy, he's a spy for the good guys, but like working undercover, and like they don't really know, and like they like. So at one point she is with the gang, and then he's also with the gang. So it's like really funny. I don't think they like talk about it in universe, but I've definitely seen this like one fan animation like talking about it. So that's really funny. But yeah, it's lots of fun. But yeah, she's also working for her own goals, and she's like trying to betray the big bad guy and like trying to find the right opportunity. But yeah. She's a bro character. His name is Niu Xuanfeng, and also really interesting because Niu is his last name. I guess it's viable as like it means cow, literally. I guess it's viable as the last name. I've never met anybody with that last name. Like, I've met a lot of people with the last name Ma, but it's fine. But anyways, yes, he is the bro of Big Ben, and he's great. Like, he's lots of fun. He's like clearly like one of the nicer bad guys. Like, he doesn't do anything evil. The only thing he really does is like get beat up by like this guy and like the other good guys when they fight a lot. And he's really goofy and fun. He's like himbo, but like working for the bad guys. And yes, he does die for his bro. Dies in his arms. And this is the main bad guy. His name is Hei Xinghu, literally meaning, oh yeah, my bad. His name translator is Cow Tornado. Yeah. Or like Cow Whirlwind. And his name literally translated means Tiger Black Heart, which very literal, very make sense-y. And yeah, he's basically, he and the white cat dad guy, they like knew each other from 50 years ago, and basically his whole thing is like he wants to drink the blood of the pet, which is Qiling, which is like in I think the official English translation is Krillin, because like a lot of things, like it's translated, like the more commonly known one is the Japanese version, like kind of like how Go is like Wei Qi, but like people call it Go more. But anyways, yes. The thing is, he's like sick, right? He gets like these migraines and like he like goes crazy and stuff, and like you know how like there's like that one wuxia trope is like 走火入魔, which means like you're like, oh, I think it's called qi deviation. I think that's like the official English translation for it. But anyways, like he goes crazy after like training too hard. But yeah, anyways. So his goal is like statedly it's like, oh, we have to like, you know, not like die of insanity, but you know, like, but mostly it's just to take over the universe / the world / etc. And he leads, okay, the translation on the wiki page, I believe it's like the demon cult, but like mostly it's more like it's the mojiao, right? So I guess I would translate it more as like the monster cult or like the evil cult. But I guess, like, you know, it's difficult to translate. But yeah, he is basically your threatening bad guy. He doesn't have a lot of depth to his character, except he does love his son. So when his son dies, he like, oh, you're dead. What is it all for? And then he like, ah, and then he gets killed anyways. Which, like, if you look at it from their point of view, like, it's sad for, like, at least for me when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I was like kind of sad for them for like 3 seconds when I realized they're like trying to kill everybody and it's like bad. But anyways, yeah, it's definitely like the narrative, like, the narrative definitely doesn't try to justify them. Like, obviously they lose, and it's like very clear that the ending is like a happy ending, and like you see everyone celebrating. But I think it does show kindness to them in their last moments, right? Like very like Demon Slayer-esque, where like, you know, the bad guys have to be put down so they don't hurt more people. But the narrative is like, it shows them as normal people, or well, animals. It shows them as normal sentient beings in their last moments. And oh yeah, this guy, he's so hateable. He does so many heinous things, and in the end, I'm pretty sure he dies in the end. Like, again, it's not like super clear. He does get beat up a lot, but he goes through like all these things. There's like the arc in the very beginning where like he tries to marry Lantu, like the Blue Rabbit character. He just does so many heinous things. I don't think I've ever hated a fictional character more than I hate this goofy ass pig in this children's cartoon that I first watched a very long time ago. Oh yeah, he's so hateable. He does so many bad things. He's incompetent. He's evil. He admits to being evil, and it's just pork chop. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the major characters. I'm gonna switch off him because I hate him so much. But yeah, those are the major characters. And yeah, this hopefully was, I guess, an informative and hopefully entertaining, very informal, rambly introduction to one of the most influential works on childhood me. And I guess, yeah, I still think about it a lot. And yeah, again, like I mentioned, the fan works are like so amazing for this. Like, I'm so impressed with, you know, the talent and the skill and the general creativity of like fans online. So yeah, this show meant a lot to me as a kid, and I'm definitely showing it to my kids. And okay, if you like look on YouTube, like the entire series is posted on YouTube, and there's like a lot of clips and stuff. They did do a bunch of reboots that's like kind of bad. There's like CGI reboots, and it's just very uncanny. I guess like, is this how it feels to like see like the remakes, like the edgy remakes? I remember like the what was it? Winx got a remake, and I didn't watch Winx as a kid, so I didn't really care. But yeah, people were like saying how it's like edgy fight. Okay, again, they did not make the remakes like super edgy. It's obviously still for kids, but like it's just weird now. But I guess if you really want to watch it, there is the dub. Maybe there's a translation, but yeah. Thanks for watching, and this video was sponsored by my dad, who let me borrow his microphone. Yeah.